Hi everyone, and welcome to my summer social series. This week we're going to get started by taking a look at Snapchat. Guilty as charged. I am incredibly biased towards this app, and before you make that judgment call and write it off as just another sexting tool, let me tell you a few reasons why Snapchat won me over. So first of all, when I downloaded Snapchat, it was sort of one of those apps that was completely non-intuitive in that there weren't really a whole lot of directions about everything you could do with it, and unlike other social media platforms, it wasn't one of those where there was sort of like this never-ending list of people and brands that you could go out and follow and immediately begin consuming information. So that's the first reason why I liked it. It did not just allow me to go in and consume, but it really sort of put the emphasis on creation. So the second reason why I fell in love with Snapchat was because instead of just sort of handing you all of the directions about how you can create your snaps and how you can create stories, it gave you the basics and then really sort of pushed you to go out there and figure out what else it was that you could do. So sort of this like element of surprise where every day was sort of learning new things that we're able to do hidden within the application. Now, I would say that those two reasons are probably why so many people, especially really over the age of, say, 34, download and then delete shortly thereafter. But here's 5 reasons why staying with it and pushing myself to learn how to use Snapchat really benefited me. So first up is learning to learn. And you know that I'm a really big fan of that idea because I think it's one of the most important skills that we can not only develop for ourselves, but also give to other people. And number 2, research. So once you have an idea of how you might like to go ahead and go about using Snapchat, you have to figure out all the different tools that are available to you in being able to achieve what it is you hope to do with your stories. And so you sort of start by researching just Snapchat, and from there it sort of leads into all these other different directions, such as like mobile video, live video, what's happening with live video in today's world, how are different platforms using it. But then what's sort of really interesting is you begin to sort of research people. Okay, who are some of the top followed people on Snapchat? How are they using it? What are they doing? What's so unique about how different people are using it in different industries, both personally and professionally? And once you sort of collected all of this information, you have to kind of now make sense of it and see like, okay, this was my original objective. Have I learned anything new that maybe has given me some new ideas for what it is that I'm able to do with the platform? Number 3, building interdisciplinary networks. So now one of the things that I mentioned to you doing the research is you sort of start to come across people who are really well followed on Snapchat or people who are just really sort of interested in the brand and its potential. And a lot of times what you sort of realize is that there aren't always as many people in your particular profession, unless you're sort of in the social media world, who are actually using and talking about Snapchat. And so organically what starts to happen is you begin following all these other different people who are again outside of your profession, and you begin learning about all the interesting things that other people are doing and how they're using the platform. Now, I think this for me has been probably the most interesting because I've seen now so many people in so many different industries and how they're using it, and it's been really fascinating to sort of learn from them about what's happening, how change is impacting their businesses and their strategies for what it is they're doing, and what we might be able to learn in education about what we can do from those different industries. I find oftentimes that on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, we really sort of gravitate a little bit more towards those we already know, people who are already in our profession, brands that we're already familiar with, whereas with Snapchat, it's really sort of pushing the boundary. And Snapchat's sort of like going to a party all by yourself where you have to sort of meet new people and mingle all on your own. Awkward and kind of got you feeling like, why am I here? When am I gonna leave? But once you sort of get into it, you're like, wow, that was so much fun. And you start meeting and talking to all these new and interesting people. And you then sort of wonder, well, like, whoa, why was I not doing this before? Number 4 is being able to share stories. So Snapchat allows you to not just send snaps one-on-one to individuals, but also create these stories that allow you to take your user on a journey. Now, we often hear that if you don't tell your story, someone else will, and oftentimes you may not like that version of events and how they unfold. So what's the solution? Tell your own story, and Snapchat becomes the perfect platform to be able to do so, complementing many of the other ones that you may already be using. This is sort of also one more area in which Snapchat really pushes your creative abilities in how are you going to tell your story, because sort of just staring into the camera, talking and talking and talking might not be the most effective and engaging way to captivate your audience. So how are you going to spice things up? How are you going to use the different tools? And how are you going to create a story that's compelling, captivating, and engages, and really sort of empowers your audience to follow through on whatever your call to action may be? So number 5 sort of builds on some of the previous ones I mentioned, and that's deeper engagement. Now, one of the things that makes Snapchat unique, like I said, is that you can take users on this journey in your story without being interrupted by other people's posts. So, in other social media platforms, very, very noisy, you've got your post, but there's thousands of other posts sort of intermingled in between. If you are able to create a captivating and engaging story, you sort of have your user's attention for that period of time. So what are you going to be able to do with it? One of the things that Snapchat allows you to do is have chats where you can sort of click on that particular segment of the story and start a conversation. This really allows for much more deeper engagement and feedback on whatever it is that you are putting out there. All right, so hopefully I have you convinced, or at least willing to give Snapchat a shot because you're intrigued. So go ahead and get started, download the app. I've popped 2 links below for both iOS and Android, and tomorrow we'll get started with the ins and outs of actually how to begin using the application.